All right, in this lesson, we're going to be covering Unit 4, Lesson 7, how to do nested if statements. Love these. All right, so your warm-up. What pattern relationship do we see in this data set? So we got over here on the left-hand side, or sorry, the whole title of this is the top 10 consumer brands on social media. This is ranked by Fame Count Index across Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube on June 10th, 2010. So branding, we got Starbucks, Coca-Cola, Whole Foods, Skittles, Oreo, Red Bull, Zappos, JetBlue Airways, Dell, and Woot. We have Facebook fans, Twitter followers, YouTube subscribers, and the Fame Count Index. So look for patterns or relationships that you might see in this. All right. So your lesson objectives, by the end of this lesson, you're going to be able to evaluate code segments using nested if statements, and also write a nested if statement to test a combination of conditions. The question of the day is, how can I test a combination of conditions before executing a specific action? Go ahead and in lesson 7, level 1, do the predict and run. Go ahead and pause this until you've completed the predict and runs, or you as a class mostly have finished these. I'll be moving on. Go ahead and go to lesson 7, level 2, and complete levels 2 and 3, making the changes as prompted. Check out those results. Go ahead and pause this until most people have completed levels 2 and 3. All right. So nested conditional statements. It's a statement that's nested inside of another. We've started doing a little bit of this with for loops. We did those nested for loops, if you remember that, where we have a for loop and then inside that for loop we have another for loop. Same idea applies. We can have multiple if statements happening at one point in time. And so if we follow through this, it's going to say if the condition is greater than 9, if this is true, if the number value is greater than 9, which in this case it is, if it's true, it's going to start in this bracket system. And this says if number is less than 15. So we check if the number is less than 15, if that's true, it's going to go inside these curly braces. If it's not, it's going to skip this, and it would then get to the end of the if statement, and it would end itself. So what we have here is this is true because 10 is greater than 9. If num is less than 15, 10 is less than 15. So we're going to system.out.println both true. So this would return with both true. So this is kind of another way of seeing it. So we check if 10 is greater than 9. Yes, so we follow, you can't see me pointing, but I can if I use this little thing. If it's greater than 9, which it is, it's going to follow this true path. And it's going to go over to here to if num is less than 15, which it also is true, and so it's going to print both true. One thing I'm not really liking about this specific diagram is the fact that if it wasn't greater than 15, this would also go to this end that exists over here, but that's neither here nor there. Okay. Each character in a string starts at an index level or an index value of 0. So just like how an array starts at 0, so does a string. So you can actually get specific letters in a string. So if we printed character 0 in a word, it would pop up with J. It would be that capital J. If we printed character 2, it's going to pop up with the lowercase v. That should be a lowercase, but whatever. And if you try and jump into something, you're going to get an index out of bounds exceptions, that error that we had with whenever you're doing arrays earlier, that, hey, yeah, you're trying to access something that doesn't exist or it's not that long, like you're just make sure you don't do that. So the negative first letter or character in a word, no such thing. It's going to be an index out of bounds. The fifth one, yes, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4. You're like, yeah, there's 5 characters, but remember we start at 0, so it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. There is no 5th character. The best way to approach this to make it so it's kind of you don't mess yourself up is using that length method. We've used this multiple times with arrays. Now we can use these with a string. And it's going to return every character. So J, A, V, A, the exclamation mark, if there was a space here, it would return that. and have all of those extra bits in it. And so in this case, we're going to find out we're making an integer called length because it's going to be a whole number. We can't have half a character. And that's equal to how long the word is. Go ahead and make a guess on what you think that value is going to be. Hopefully you answered with 5 because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters. Remember, with length, it actually gives us like the count that an elementary schooler would, or not necessarily an elementary schooler, like, well, yeah, say elementary schooler. It's the count that an elementary schooler would return you. They'd say, hey, yeah, there's 5 things in here. And you'd be like, yes, but we start counting at 0. And they'd be like, what? No, we don't. We start counting at 1. And so, yeah, this would return 5, even though it only goes up to an index value of 4. Remember that length minus 1. That's your special friend whenever we're doing this stuff. Okay. Consider the following code segment. String Atlanta equals Atlanta Falcons. How many characters will Atlanta.length return? Go ahead and pause for a moment and come up with on your own. The answer was 15. And the reason why is we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The space counts 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now you might be asking about the parentheses. These parentheses indicate that it's a string. It's not included in the actual string Atlanta. It's just saying, hey, this is where the string starts and this is where the string ends. All right. Go ahead and try this one out. How many do you think there's going to be? All right. Hopefully your answer was 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. This exclamation does count just like the space counts. And again, these quotation marks do not because that indicates the string. I actually discussed that with you guys already. Okay. Should be a activity guide that you got with this. It's called Writing Algorithms. Go ahead and you and your partner you can work on a partner with this. So choose one of the problems, go through the entire problem solving process of defining, preparing, trying, reflect. You can kind of jump around those all over the place. You don't need to write the algorithm in Java. You can write it in pseudocode. You can also try and write it in Java right away if you want, but the big idea is coming up with the how should this flow. As you're going through that, I'd assume you're probably going to be hitting all the remaining levels, so go ahead and go all the way through level 6. Go ahead and pause this until most people are done with level 6. Alright, so today we learned about evaluating code segments using nested if statements, writing nested if statements to test a combination of conditions, and you hopefully answered the question of how can I test a combination of conditions before executing a specific action. Alright, and here's a vocab word for you. Have a good one.